what did you like? I assume you liked about Dominic in regard.
Yeah, Dom on tape was he'd be similar, a little different than Colt. In other words, you didn't see a lot on tape that was what we do, but you saw it in his testing and you saw glimpses of it on tape. So he's one of those guys that's we've talked about a lot of times. You look at him and say, gosh, is that guy too? We drafted Banks was the same way. You go, gosh, this is a big old guard from Notre Dame. Is he really going to fit? But then you watch him run some screens, and you see some things. So, oh yeah, if we start doing it every day. So this is a big guy that has some size. He also has some quickness, some power. So he's not prototypical little quick guy. You know, he's a guy that's got the size, range, and length. So you know, those guys that will be hold up on third down. He's a very good pass blocker in college. That should translate to our game, and then get him to do our run game is going to be his biggest adjustment. So just all the traits that we need in our system. It didn't jump off the tape, but it was there.
You talk about all the traits that you need in your system. I'm wondering every year expects you guys to invest early in the draft on offensive line. How much is that a part of you trying to project these guys, and maybe why you haven't invested, first, second round picks as often on the offensive line?
Yeah, I don't know about that's for John and Kyle for the most part. My personal opinion, this is my personal opinion. If they ask me, invest in guys that touch the ball, guys that can touch the ball and score touchdowns, and then there's a range of guys, second, third, fourth round, fifth round even, that we will find starting offensive linemen in. At some point, can you draft? Yeah, you draft Trent Williams, you pick a draft, you're getting a difference maker. But there's guys that can make difference that touch the ball well into second, third, fourth rounds, or second, third rounds at least, and then definitely in the first round. That guy that touches the ball, it makes a huge difference in the game. The right guard makes a difference. We talked about it before, but that's where we're able to find fourth and fifth round draft picks. And if they've been, you go find, it's how dominant is the difference between pick, 34 versus pick 54 in offensive line play, and that's what you're trying to balance all the time. So, will we best available player, all those types of things, definitely will. Will we possibly ready to draft guys higher to draft? Yes, but if there's somebody that can touch the ball and make plays, in my opinion, you ask me, Chris, do you want him? No, I want the guy that touches the ball for me, because I think we can develop those players much more readily and have developed those players through the time, because we do have a specific things that we're looking for. We know what we're looking for through the course of time. That's the advantage of being together with Kyle for so long that we kind of can pigeonhole these guys. Are we always right? Heck, no, we're not always right. And nobody is on anything. So yeah, could you put 5 first rounders across the front? I don't know that we have to have success, and it hasn't been that case as far as running the football and protecting the quarterback. Do we have? Yeah, we don't have 5 first rounders, so there's always going to be that. But the fact that you could throw a short pass to Devo, even though the right tackle's getting beat, it ends up being a 60-yard touchdown. So yeah, the right tackle blocks somebody, but if the guy gets tackled at 5 yards, you don't have the 60-yard touchdown. Boy, that right tackle did a great job. What's it matter if the guy touches the ball? Can't take it to the house. So there's the trade-off, and you're constantly playing that game.
How much is that belief for you kind of rooted in the system, and also how much is just rooted in the fact that you've been doing this a long time?
I'm telling you, I did it when I got to Baltimore. A good friend of mine, Jed Fish, who's the head coach at the University of Washington now, he and I were talking. He was a quality control guy in Baltimore. And New England this was the mid 2004, 5, whatever it was, they were the rage. And I said, go watch an offensive line and just tell me how good they are. And he started looking at it, he goes, my gosh, he just put 5 X's on the board, nondescript, circled them and said, it doesn't matter who those 5 guards, as long as 12 is the quarterback. He started to Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and those guys, Edelman, he says, it doesn't matter. And it didn't. You just saw that they did an excellent job. Dante did a great job of coaching them. They had a system that they believed in, and they got the ball to the people that could do things with the football. And he's like, I get it. Now, there's a line, and this is what I always say with offensive line play. This is a cool discussion. I love this discussion. There's a line below which that, with offensive line play, that if you just drop a little bit below it, it's a gaping hole. It just, all of a sudden you're like, he can't block anybody. And now we got a major problem. But as long as they're at that line and just above it, you can survive it, and you can take care of it. We've got ways with our system. We can chip. We can do all sorts of things to help guys. Slide lines, double team the best rusher on the team. There's so many mechanisms to help a lineman. If a guy can't get open, if a guy can't catch the ball and run, that's where we have a problem. But an offensive line play, you got to be careful. You got to have those 6, 7, 8 guys that are just at that line or above, and that's the challenge. Where's that line in the draft? Is it the 3rd round, 2nd round, 4th round, 5th? When's that line where all of a sudden the tackles have dried up, the guards have dried up? Now you're talking about drafting backup players, which is fine. They're backup players, but they're not going to be long-term starters for your team. And that's the challenge for me, because eventually the guys that can run and score touchdowns run out. They're not there anymore, so you have to find those quality starters in other positions. And you gotta be right, because oftentimes when you draft a lineman in the 4th or 5th round, there might be a guy that could come in and immediately contribute on special teams, contribute to be a backup linebacker, safety, and that's what, so I'm not, okay, we didn't draft the first set, we gotta take somebody in the 4th round here, because I got 5 guys, got 5 holes to fill, so.
Who is a guy that you, through the years, have said, this is a backup guy that we just drafted, who then turned out to be really, really good?
I don't wanna go, I gotta think back. It turned out to be good.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, he's a
I don't know if anybody comes to mind offhand. I'd have to think for a minute here. I try to stay away from the current roster, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going back years before that. And no, there are probably guys that were on the team that I may have labeled as backups when we got there, and then they end up projecting beyond it. But I can't think of any offhand.
Last year, you were optimistic that Ben Barch would take another step from his ACL injury. Are you seeing that this offseason?
100%. In fact, thanks for reminding me. I forgot he had the ACL. That's why it was kind of that little bit of a delay. And he got back in there this year, and he is this spring. He's taking a step. Now we're playing in shorts, but his initial, he's heard it. He got away from it. He's come back, and he's looked very, very good at center and guard. And we'll see when we get the pads on if he's able to play with a little more anchor, a little more strength and the things. But right now, he looks like he's been here for 3 or 4 years and has fit in very well. We're happy with Ben.
What do you think about Nugent?
Nugent's a good guy. Okay, Nugent, here's a good story. His dad and I played college football together. He was the quarterback, I was the center, so we had a very special relationship. The dad, though, his name's Terry Drake. We watched him at Michigan. He was at Stanford. We looked at all the Michigan linemen, and we got to the end of the draft. We got to the week before the draft. We started with the guys we think are going to be drafted 6th, 7th, or not be drafted at all. He fits our style. He is the more undersized, quick guy that plays with a lot of leverage and things like that may not be big enough, may not quite be the prototypical starter guy, but he does have some of those traits that we really like, and he fits our system real well. That's what we saw. Even though Michigan really didn't highlight outside zone at all. I mean, PFF has this thing where you can take they categorize the play by outside, inside, gap scheme. They had like 17 outside zones the whole season, and they ran the crap out of the ball. And so it was hard to bat, but you had to look at his testing, and we did like him a lot. Really good kid, and personally, because knowing the dad, knowing the family, I felt really good about the character of the kid as well. So we liked that as well.
What have you seen so far from Isaac Alarcon?
I'm sorry, say again.
Isaac Alarcon.
Isaac?
Yeah, what have you seen from him?
He's doing a good job. Yeah, he's an upgrade. He's a little bit better than our last year, Fredo. He's a little bit better than the guy we've had the last 3 years around here. He does a good job. He's a little more athletic, moves around, and Alfredo did a great job for us. Great job. But this guy's actually pretty good. He's doing a good job. I like him.
What have you seen from Isaac Arendo? Just obviously it's really early, but just
very early. Really smooth, fluid runner like we saw in college. I think he's gonna be a good pass receiver, but still early to tell. Those backs are rotating through pretty good. They're all doing a nice job right now. I really liked the back when we were looking at the backs. He was a guy that really stood out to me as, even though he didn't play all the time. You saw the flashes, you saw the speed, and that's a dimension that we're looking to add to our backfield. Not that Christian's not fast. Christian would kill me if I said he wasn't fast enough. He's plenty fast enough, but you're always trying to add one more big hit element.
Chris Pooney can play a bunch of spots. Is there a spot that he's more advanced in, and if you had to start him right away, he's more advanced at any of the 5 spots?
He's played guard and tackle. I think he might have even played center at some point, but he's built to be a guard. Now, does that not mean he won't be our 4th tackle possibly, the way the roster shakes out? Could he be our starting right guard or left? I mean, he could be a swing guard. The only thing I'm not sure I'm going to rep him at is center, but he's going to be able to play left guard, left tackle, right guard, right tackle. We're primarily working him at right guard right now. That's a place we felt we could get some competition going and work at that spot, but he easily could be the 4th tackle, 3rd. I mean, he can work it anywhere. He's got ability to play all. He's best suited to guard, though. He could end up, you never know what happens. Hopefully, we'll see how it plays out.
Chris, at left tackle, have you kept in touch with Trent Williams at all in the last few months? And then how do you like how Jalen Moore and Brandon Parker are looking?
Yeah, Trent always is. We stay in touch. A little bit. His off season's his off season. He takes care of himself. Always comes back in good shape. It's all voluntary. I've learned a long time ago to never be upset with our guys here. That's voluntary. They put the V word in front of it, is what it is. It's voluntary. So how can I get mad when a guy doesn't come when it's voluntary, right? So he works hard. He always comes back and is a good player in good shape. Jalen Moore is continued to, he always progresses. You know, Jalen's not a, if you guys know Jalen or met Jalen or talked to him at all, he's a very soft-spoken, very even-keeled guy. But yet every year he just comes back a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I'm really impressed with how he's doing this year. And he's got to dig in. As I said, he's got the most thankless job in the world, right? He spends the whole offseason, the whole preseason being our starting left tackle. It precludes him from competing at right guard or right tackle because somebody has to go play our left tackle spot and be there when Purdy's in the game or when we're trying to get things going. And so he's kind of locked into that, you know, perennial backup role. But then you never know, you know, hopefully nothing happens. But if something does, that he's ready to go. And he's really proven every year to embrace more. And I love Jalen. I love what he does. He's not going to jump off the screen edge. He's not going to jump off personality-wise, but I love the guy. Great guy. He has improved every year.
All four of your rookie offensive linemen had really fast short shuttle times. How big of a point of emphasis was that in meeting rooms prior to the draft? And have you seen some of that quickness translate on the field already?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I know somebody sent it to me. I think whoever put out there, whatever. I don't have one of those social media things, but somebody sent it to me and I saw it. Well, that's cool. But I think it's more of the traits. We see the traits in the player, and it just so happens to translate short shuttle. A short shuttle to me. Short shuttle is a science. Short shuttle, you can train the kid to run a short shuttle. There's a thing to the feet, the hands. I don't know what it is, but literally they can just by training it properly knock time off it. That doesn't demonstrate as much of their core skills, right? The 3-cone drill has a little harder. It doesn't matter how technical you are. There's so much start, stop, and weaving. I go a little bit more on the 3-cone personally, but it's funny that the short shuttle, it obviously must have some carryover because these things that I talked about that we see on tape that you don't see our plays, but you see the traits of the player. It must be something that's good in the short shuttle as well. So it wasn't something we pinpointed. I've been with a lot of personnel people that go like, look, if an offensive lineman doesn't have a short shuttle of this, we're not taking him. Or if a tight end doesn't have a 20 of this or a 3-cone or a vertical jump, they won't take him. Because over time, that's what analytics does. They just chart on a graph and say, look, these guys that are under this number or above this number don't make it. And so they say, why would we take them? Because odds are they don't make it. That's a little too analytical, but it's a good jump-off spot to say, boy, they better show some other things to say they're going to. So that was an interesting stat. It makes me look at it a little bit. It's just interesting to see how it showed up. It was cool.
What do you need to see from whether it's Spencer Burford or Cooney? It seems like that right guard position is going to create a pretty interesting competition. What do you need to see from, I guess, Burford or Cooney or anyone else to win that spot?
The offensive line play, we've talked about it before, consistency, talent, all this ability in the world, but man, when it comes down to things happening quickly, being consistent, play in, play out, understanding the offense, how the defense plays it, every little intricate piece of this thing. It's not just about pass blocking and run blocking. There's so much that goes into it that you just miss a little detail, a little adjustment, and a lot of times it's things that come up that I can't cover. You have to understand and embrace the concept of the play or whatever we're doing to know that, oh gosh, but if I follow my rules, this is where it takes me. And that's what we're looking for. That's one of the things that all these guys we took this year, that one of the things and John spoke about it probably to you guys in the draft, and I'll keep talking all day, so, what he said is, he said, look, he goes, we found that with offensive linemen that the what it takes, the character, the intelligence, all those things, not saying one of our guys don't have it, but those picks after those first couple talent round, the guys are just playing because of sheer ability and talent. Those guys in the offensive line, they got to have that thing that they can figure it out. At some point you don't make it as a player, you coach. It's an offensive line because the game, you understand the game, you're intrigued by the game. It's cool to coach it, teach the little pieces of it and all that stuff like that. And that's what these guys have to be. They literally have to be coaches on the field. And so sometimes the further away you get from the ball, the tackles, you have to have a little bit less of it. And that's what analytics has found out, that as we start analyzing those character traits, those intelligent traits, that we've kind of found out that as you go with offensive line, it tends to be a little bit more leans that direction. Now, is that everybody? I don't know how that works for every other team in the league, but for us, those types of guys. So that's what we're looking for in that position. That position right now, that's how a guy like Feliciano played with just a little more consistency. And was it a lot? I say no. I mean, when somebody said how Spencer came to me when we didn't put him back in the lineup, he goes, Coach, am I playing? I said, no, but it's 2 or 3 plays. It's just 2, it's not many. You know, everybody else is grading here, and you're just those 2 or 3 plays a game. And you just don't know when they're gonna show up and how they're gonna show up. And so those 2 or 3 plays are just like, gosh, we just gotta get those 2 or 3 plays better. We're just looking for that consistency. Maybe it comes from Spencer this year. Obviously, he's the most talented of the players. I think he's as talented or more than Pooney. Pooney will push that from that. And John's just a guy that is a veteran, good player that knows how to get it done. Very savvy, good vet player. But these talented guys, when they figure it out, and that's what you keep hoping. So maybe it comes from Spence, maybe it comes from Pooney, maybe it comes from somebody else. I don't know where it comes from, but we're hoping we can get just a little more consistent play on that position.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.